Hello everyone. Today is 5th of September. Let's discuss the most important news which is relevant for your UPSC exam from the Hindu newspaper. So let's start. The first news is Supreme Court flags Himalayan infrastructure as death traps. So think कि जो हम इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बना रहे हैं क्या वो हम सच में इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बना रहे हैं या खुद के लिए कबर खोद रहे हैं. Frequent floods, landslides in Uttarakhand, Himachal due to deforestations, dams and tunnels. ठीक है. अभी आपने रिसेंट में अगर न्यूज़ देखी होगी तो रिवर्स जहाँ पे बह रही हैं तो उसमें काफ़ी सारे लोग जा रहे हैं. ठीक है, लकड़ी कट कट के आ रही है तो वो शो करता है कि डिफोरेस्टेशंस डैम्स की वजह से और टनल्स की वजह से काफ़ी ज़्यादा क्या हो रहा है, फ्लड्स और लैंडस्लाइड्स हो रहे हैं. ठीक है. एनडीएमए एक्ट 2005 created NDRF and SDRF. We have read it in yesterday news. एंड आर्टिकल 21 क्या कहता है हमारा. आर्टिकल 21 कहता है कि राइट टू सेफ इन्वायरमेंट, राइट टू सेफ एनवायरमेंट. ओके, इट वाज रिकॉग्नाइज्ड इन MC मेहता केस. MC मेहता केस बाय सुप्रीम कोर्ट. ओके. करंट न्यूज़ क्या है. सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने हिमालयन टनल्स को कहा है डेथ ट्रैप्स और क्रिटिसाइज किया है अनसाइंटिफिक प्रोजेक्ट्स को. कुछ प्रीलिम्स ट्रैप्स विच यू नीड टू रिमेंबर कि डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट हमारा किस लिस्ट में आता है. इट इज़ इन द कॉन्करेंट लिस्ट. NDRF created under the NDMA Act, under Disaster Management Act. MHA, Ministry of Home Affairs, provide only the administrative support. Got it. Cloudburst की definition क्या है. Cloudburst is equal to more than 100 mm per hour रेनफॉल. ठीक है, ये डेफिनेशन याद रखना. एंड हिमालयन माउंटेन्स जो है हमारे, दे आर द यंग फोल्ड माउंटेन्स. ओके, एंड दे आर स्टिल राइजिंग ड्यू टू विच क्या हो रहा है, दे आर फ्रेजाइल. एंड कोर्ट्स आर आस्किंग development. You can quote it in the answer. Development at what cost? Okay. So this is what is written here in the slide. Supreme Court flags Himalayan infrastructure as death traps. Key judicial observation: the Supreme Court has raised serious concern about tunnels becoming death traps in the Himalayan region, directly linking deforestation and unscientific infrastructure development to the devastating floods in the Uttarakhand and the Himachal Pradesh. Disaster management framework falls under the concurrent list of the 7th schedule, enabling both central and the state actions. NDRF misconception created by the Disaster Management Act 2005, not directly under the MHA. Common exam trap. Cloudburst definition: more than 100 mm rainfall per hour in local area, critical for the prelim exam. ठीक है. Mains relevance: Judicial environmentalism, infrastructure versus ecology balance, Article 21, and right to safe environment. And the next news is Anganwadi School Integration Initiative. Nutrition, nutrition plus education is equal to real empowerment. Okay, so nutrition plus education is equal to real empowerment. ICDS, we have done this topic yesterday also. ICDS was launched in 1975 under the Ministry of Women and Child Development. Anganwadis give nutrition plus preschool education, National Education Policy 2020 introduced 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 structure. Okay, and current news is government guide government guidelines aims to co-locate approximately 11 lakh Anganwadi center with schools, though only 2.9 lakh have been mapped so far. Okay, prelims traps which you need to remember. Prelims traps: Anganwadis not under the Ministry of Education but under the Ministry of Ministry of Women and Child Development. A PAR ID for the a PAR ID for child tracking, and with NEP, National Education Policy 2020, ECCE is integrated. ECCE is integrated. It means early childhood care and education. Early childhood care and education is integrated. Okay, so you can quote in the exam that if the base is weak, no skyscraper can stand. If the base is weak, no skyscraper can stand. You can quote in the answer writing. So this is what is written in the PPT, that government guidelines aims to co-locate approximately 11 lakh Anganwadi center with school, though only 2.9 lakhs have been mapped so far. ICDS framework launched in 1975 under the Ministry of Women and Child Development, not Ministry of Education. Nutrition, sport, early childhood care and education, health monitoring. NEP 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 education framework integration, foundational stage 3 to 8 years, a PAR ID tracking system, seamless transition, SDG for alignment, quality education for all children, early education development, inclusive education, learning outcomes improvement. Okay, and next news is about GST rationalization. Okay, and basically from four slabs to GST finally simplified. Okay, so GST is finally simplified. Some facts which you need to remember: 101st Amendment Act 2016 introduced GST. Earlier slabs 5%, 12%, 18%, 28%. And current news: GST Council approved only 5%, 18% slabs plus 40% slabs on syn goods. Okay, prelim straps which you need to remember. Prelim straps: alcohol, petroleum, electricity, electricity city excluded from GST, excluded from GST. Okay, compensation cess, compensation cess ended 2022, continue till 2026 for loan repayment. Cement rate cut, cement rate cut, okay, 28% to 18%. And roti paratha GST 0. Okay, now roti and paratha will be taxed at 0. Okay, so you can quote in the answer that one nation, one nation, one nation, one tax, one tax, finally closer to reality. This was all about the GST rationalization. And next news is about FDI project collapse. Global firms trust India's market but fear India's tariff. You can quote in the answer that global firms trust India's market but fear India's tariff. Okay, US tariff, 50% tariff. India US mini trade deal stalled. And CMIE tracks investment sentiments, Current news is 1.97 lakh projects scrapped in quarter 1 2025-26, highest since 2010. This is 8.8 ratio, project ratio, scrap to new project highest. This is the highest scrapped rate. Okay, लास्ट कब हुआ था 2010 में. एंड कुछ पॉइंट्स याद रखना कि CMI इज़ अ प्राइवेट बॉडी नॉट गवर्नमेंट. ऑफिशियल GDP डेटा कम्स फ्रॉम MOSPI नॉट CMIE. ट्रेड डेटा फ्रॉम DGCI and S and India US military deal remains stalled. It reflects tariff uncertainty and rising protectionism impacting investment climate. Next news is India Germany strategic partnership. EU FTA announced in 2007, still pending in 2025. BTI bilateral trade. Okay, BTI bilateral trade investment agreement since 2007. Germany is India's top EU partner. Do remember this. Germany is India's top EU partner. EU partner. EU headquarters is in the Brussels and Parliament at Strasbourg. And recent news is External Affairs Minister Jaishankar and the German Foreign Minister have committed to doubling bilateral trade while navigating EU sanction complexities. We have already done this editorial in last video. You can watch that. Bilateral trade and investment agreement discussions ongoing since 2007. Strategic autonomy. India balancing relationship while maintaining independent foreign policy. And EU headquarters in Brussels. Sanction navigating, managing potential secondary sanctions similar to US approach. EU can impose. Okay. And do remember Indo every 2 year. Okay. Consultation every 2 years. And yesterday we gave this quote from newspaper that India EU FTA is like Indian wedding, announced many times but not happening. Okay. And today's FTA talks are India's longest engagement engagement marathon without finish line. Marathon without finish line. You can quote it in the answer. Next is India Singapore Maritime Security Cooperation. Singapore may be tiny but it guards the Malacca Key. Do remember this. Singapore may be tiny but it guards the Malacca Key. And Simbex exercise याद रखना. Simbex naval exercise Malacca Strait Indo-Pacific choke point. Indo-Pacific choke point. Asian headquarter is in Jakarta. Okay. And now what happened? India and Singapore, both nations have agreed on enhanced defense technology cooperation, Malacca Strait patrols and green hydrogen export initiative. And some prelims traps which you need to remember. Prelims traps, that is Singapore not part of Quad. Singapore not part of Quad. Okay. And it is also said that you can quote in the answer writing that who controls Malacca controls Indo-Pacific trade. You can quote it in the answer. Okay. So Malacca Strait, world's busiest sea lane and critical Indo-Pacific choke point. Green hydrogen, sustainable energy export partnership for future cooperation. Okay. And India's demographic transition challenge. Okay. India's total fertility rate is below replacement. Are we going India's TFR total fertility rate is below replacement are we aging before becoming rich? क्या हम पहले ही बूढ़े हो रहे हैं रिच बनने से? रिप्लेसमेंट टोटल फर्टिलिटी रेट इज 2.1. okay. And sample registration survey reveals total fertility rate has declined to 1.9, below the replacement level of 2.1, signaling significant demographic shift. Okay, current TFR is below the replacement level. Replacement total fertility rate is required for the stability, and life expectancy is basically years of approximately you will live. Okay, states below the replacement level: Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Punjab, and Delhi. Exam alert, do remember this, that data released by Register General of India under the MOSPI, not under the Niti Ayog. Okay, demographic dividends means कि इंडिया की जो वर्किंग एज पॉपुलेशन है दैट इज मोर. ओके, versus aging population challenges urgent need for the social security reforms. ये हमने कल भी पढ़ा था. वल्चर कंजर्वेशन कम्युनिटी लेड इनिशिएटिव, असम डिजिटल कंजर्वेशन पोर्टल एंड असम एनजीओ इन कोलैबोरेशन विद द गुवाहाटी यूनिवर्सिटी हैज लॉन्च्ड इंडियाज फर्स्ट वल्चर कंजर्वेशन portal, marking a significant step in community-driven wildlife protection. Okay, in 2006, diclofenac veterinary use prohibited after massive vulture population decline. It was like 99% decline हो गया था इस population में. एंड WPA एक्ट के शेड्यूल 1 में प्रोटेक्शन मिली हुई है वल्चर्स को. ओके, इंटरनेशनल अवेयरनेस डे ऑन द September 1. ठीक है. And 2025 portal, first conservation portal launched in Assamese language. To remember Assamese language, this initiative demonstrates the power of community led conservation efforts. So यहाँ पे हमें याद रखना है community led conservation efforts and people participation in wildlife protection aligning with the grassroots environment movement. Okay, portal launched in Assamese emphasizing local language accessibility. ठीक है, तो ये याद रखना. तो ये एक कोट आप यूज़ कर सकते हो. नो स्कैवेंजर्स, मोर डिजीज, vultures protects human too. Okay, and next news is about legal system reforms, bail jurisprudence evolution. Arun Gawli case, Supreme Court granted bail to Arun Gawli after 18 years in connection with the 2007 Shiv Sena leader murder case. Okay, this news is not important, but what is important is Maharashtra Control of Organized Crime Act 1999. Note the TADA as the commonly confused. Okay, so these things important. This is prelims strength. Okay, तो ये याद रखना. तो he was convicted under the मकोका प्लस IPC. ठीक है, कुछ चीज़ें जो हमें याद रखनी है दैट इज कि बेल जो है वो पॉसिबल है इवन पोस्ट कन्विक्शन अंडर द सुप्रीम कोर्ट पावर्स. एंड Gawli was not convicted under the TADA. Okay, he was under the Makoka. But this was the main trap which you can remember, and it is the Supreme Court discretionary power. Okay, even after the conviction. And you can also quote in India, bail is the rule, but delay is the punishment. But delay is the punishment. Okay, and next is editorial summaries. Okay, so basically सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने बोला है फ्लड जजमेंट एम्फसाइज क्लाइमेट सेफ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर होना चाहिए. सुप्रीम कोर्ट फ्लड जजमेंट एम्फसाइज सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट प्लानिंग, डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट का टॉपिक है ये. ओके, एंड डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड, पॉपुलेशन ट्रांजिशन फ्रॉम एडवांटेज टू चैलेंज, वी हैव रेड इट. फिस्कल फेडरलिज्म, GST रिफॉर्म्स, बैलेंस Simplification with federal cooperation. We have read it. Strategic balancing. EU FTA negotiation amid geopolitical complexities. So this was all about today news. So see you in the next video. Thank you.